Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today, I'm not gonna be racing. I'm gonna make a video about my F1 2020 settings, which has been a very much requested thing, especially camera settings and force feedback settings. But before I'm gonna head into that, I'm gonna be showing what equipment I use and explain a little bit why I'm using it. So basically, as a rig, I use the Playseat F1 Ultimate Edition. Um, Mainly because it is a Formula style rig. It feels really good. It's a big improvement from the last Playseat. I don't know the exact name from it, which we had to use last year F1 Esports. This year it's obviously from home, so we can choose whatever we want. Um, but yeah, Playseat gave me a big discount, so that's why I chose to go for Playseat. And yeah, it's the best rig I've had so far, definitely. Very sturdy, doesn't move at all, and as I said before, the Formula style is what suits me very good. Um, so yeah, that's basically why I chose it. And then we move on to the wheelbase, CSL Elite Racing Wheel, officially licensed for PlayStation. Um, I'm basically just using it because we have to for F1 Esports. It's very good as well, of course, as I used it before I got into F1 Esports as well. So yeah, I have quite a lot of experience with this wheelbase, hence why um, I feel really comfortable with it. And yeah, I don't really see myself changing anytime soon, unless it's maybe to um, a direct drive or if we have to, because for F1 Esports. And then same for the rim. I have to use this one for F1 Esports, um, but in the off season I prefer to use this one. But then the silver edition, which is a limited edition, if I remember right. So yeah, simply because I like to have the rotary switches, which helps changing brake bias real quick. Uh, Another add-on I have for this wheel is the Podium Advanced pedal module, which basically um, is a magnetic shifter, which you don't have on the F1 Esports wheel. And then the bottom one are basically uh, for a clutch. You can set it up as a clutch, and then the top one you can choose whatever you do with it. You can put it on as DRS or a diff change or brake bias change, or anything you want. Basically, you can even select it to as a upshift button. I wouldn't recommend it, but yeah, really enjoyed this combination. It feels always really good, but obviously I have to use this one for F1 Esports. And then as monitor, I used wrong page. I used the BenQ Zoe XL 2740, which is a 240 hertz screen, 27 inch. Um, Obviously, in racing and any other esports, it's important to have a very high refreshing rate. Hence, why I use 240 hertz, as it's just amazing and a big step up from 140 and or 144, I think, is what we used last year in F1 Esports. Um, yeah, especially if you play on a console, it's a big step upwards if you go to PC and have a 240 hertz monitor. So yeah, this is the equipment I use basically. So yeah, let's head into the Fanatec CSL Elite wheelbase settings first. Um, this is all the settings you can change. Um, Something I didn't say when we were on the Fanatec website is that I also use Loadcell pedal for the CSL Elite pedals. Um, I didn't talk about the pedals. Sorry for that. I forgot it. But yeah, basically, if you have a load cell, you can change the brake force. And yeah, I basically always use 80. It also depends if you play in a rig and in what position, or if you play on a desk. But yeah, I've been driving with 80 for a very long time now. I use all 85 rubbers in the load cell. So I don't have the white foam. I took that out. All I use is the 85 rubbers, and yeah, that's basically what I'm the most comfortable with. And then sensitivity on 300. Last year I played on 360, so that's a big change compared to last year. I just feel more comfortable with the lower one. Force feedback on 100, shock on 100, ABS off as you don't have ABS in F1 cars. Drift mode off. I felt like this is a really big thing. drift mode on off. Really helps catching the car when you get into a slide. Force on 120, spring on off, damper on off, brake force on 80 as I said, and an FEI on 0 or on 50 I mean. So FEI on 50. So in the F1 2020 settings now, I'm gonna start off with the force feedback. Or actually, I start off with the calibration, nothing major, it's all quite standard. Throttle dead zone on 2 and then brake dead zone on 1. If you lean a lot on the brake, I would recommend going up on this, especially if you use a load cell. So yeah, I don't lean on it, I almost never lean on it. But if you do, I would recommend putting the brake zone up to 10, 15 or 20, depending on how much you lean on it, because otherwise you're obviously just losing straight line speed. And throttle dead zone, it also depends on the age of your throttle potentiometer, but I usually have it on 2. So nothing major on that. Vibration and force feedback is an on, obviously for me. The strength is on 120. Then I have on-track effects, rumble strip effects, off-track effects, all on 0. I've never used anything on these on the F1 games, as I feel like they don't add anything on the feeling of the car. As I don't really understand the rumble strip effects, to be honest, as the wheel still shakes whenever you drive over curbstones a little bit, which is fine. But yeah, I don't feel anything adding value by putting these up, so I keep them on 0. Wheel damper on 12. I've been using that for the wall game now. I feel comfortable with it. I tried a few times, a bit higher and a bit lower, but this is what I ended up with. And then understeer and hands on, so you can feel when the front tires start to lose grip. Onto generic settings. I think this is all pretty default, as I think I've never changed it. I've tried overtake ERS mode on hold a few times, but with the way I set up the buttons, I couldn't open DRS and hold the ERS button. So that's why I keep it on toggle. Trigger rumble, I don't even know what that does, so I just kept it on. So yeah, I think these are all pretty default, to be honest. And then moving on to audio, master volume on 7. It also depends on what your volume is on, obviously on your headset, and what it is in the volume mixer. So yeah, 7 was the best for me. Effects on 10, speech on 10, music on 10. Enable subtitles, not really important, I would say. Dynamic range, full range. I remember I tried a few different settings, but it sounded really weird, so I went back to full range. Radio verbosity, response only. Even though you have it on response only, Jeff is still gonna be sometimes coming up with alternate strategies, which is really annoying and I hope gets removed for future games. But yeah, response only, as I want to have minimum talking and minimum updates, because I will simply ask it when I need it. Yeah, I don't really know what these do. Push to talk or mute by default. Ah yeah, mute by default I always have on, because I don't want to hear anyone in my lobby, of course. Push to talk, I never use that. Radio output device, I think is for your headset. Broadcast mix on. Commentary language obviously depends on what country you're from. And upshift tone on off. So yeah, I don't need the upshift tone. I think some drivers use it, but I never felt the need to. Actually, in a real F1 simulator, you do have the upshift tone. I think they have in actual F1 cars as well. So if you want to have a little bit more realism, put the upshift tone on. I think it's something drivers can choose in real life. But let's head on to the video mode. This obviously depends on your monitor and PC. This is just your graphics card. Resolution, just as high as you want, basically, as much as your monitor supports. And then the refresh rate on 240 or whatever your monitor supports. Obviously, the higher the better, as yeah, just feels much smoother when it's higher. Display mode, full screen, aspect ratio, auto, VSync. Always turn it off unless you have a very poor PC to play the game on. Consoles have VSync automatically turned on, and you, on most games, are not be able to turn it off. On F1 you cannot turn it off, because in case you are on PC and turn it on, it causes quite a lot of delay, and that's not what you want. Frame rate limit is on off for me, as I'm easily reaching 240 anyway, so no need to put an FPS cap on it, and lower the FPS so it fluctuates less, but I'm always way above 240 anyway, so that doesn't matter. Anti-aliasing, I've been using this as long as I can remember. It doesn't really affect FPS that much. It just improves the vision much better, in my opinion, on this setting. Anisotropic filtering, if I said it right, is on 16x. Same reason as the anti-aliasing. It just feels much better on 16x. Now let's get on to the details. And as you can see, basically everything is on the lowest setting. Actually, everything is on the lowest settings, just to get more FPS. I basically never want to get under 240 because I want it to be consistent at all times, and that's why I run on the lowest graphic settings possible. Gamma adjustment on 1, motion blur strength on 0, and steering on animation, as you can see from my league racing videos, is on. I think there's only one driver who uses steering animation off, which is James Baldwin, but I like to have it on. Just a personal thing, I would say. Let's go on to the on-screen display. Speedometer units depends if you are from the UK or the USA or Central Europe, I would say. I think in Asia they use miles as well, but anyway, it doesn't matter. I use kph, temperature units, also depends where you're from, I would say. On-screen display on. On-screen display cockpit view got added recently, quite recently, I would say. If I remember correct. Track map, full track map, delta time on, proximity arrows on, driver text on, start lights on, permanent session timer on. This really helps me planning the stint in qualifying, as if it's an off, you can only see it in the last 5 minutes. So I would say this is quite important, to be honest. And then virtual rear view mirror is quite a personal preference, but I have it on off usually. And then probably the most requested one is my camera settings, and these are my camera settings basically. Most important thing I would say is camera shake and camera movements. Put them on 0, because if you have them on, I would say it's just distracting, I think so. So yeah, in my opinion, always put them to 0, and yeah, the rest is just personal preference, I would say. But I'm comfortable with this one, so I've stuck to it. Hence why I use these for quite a while already. I think I've been using these for more than a year. I think at the start of the game I had a different one, but then I found my old one back, which are these, and now I use this one. Telemetry settings, quite default, I would say. Fanatec LED on, and then everything else on off, as you don't want to share any telemetry to rivals in case they are recording it. So yeah, I think that was all, to be honest. Can't come up with anything else, to be honest. So if I missed something, let me know in the comments. I think I got everything that needed to be said about my equipment and F1 2020 settings. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more league racing or sim racing videos, and see you guys next time.